Hello and welcome Pixels, 25 Games is here, and today I want to show you how to work with an FBX we created the last time and import it to Unity so that we get a working prefab which is working with LOD. If you missed the video last week, just check out the video description and watch it. I will talk there about everything, how to prepare your mesh in Blender 2.8 so that you can export it to Unity. This video is made with the video editing tool Camtasia 2019 from TechSmith. Check out the link in the description below. Let's start where we ended the last time. Import FBX and adjust LOD-settings for prefab. You can see here in the project tab that I created the test folder with my imported FBX and the prepared material which is connected with our self-made shader. The material is currently not connected with a light map and contains only the diffuse texture, but this is cool so far for testing. After importing the FBX to our project folder, I usually enable Generate Light Map UVs, because this is the setup to bake a light map. Then I go to Material and uncheck Import Materials and hit apply. Now the FBX is prepared to drag and drop it to our game scene. Immediately Unity shows you that the LOD system is activated. You can recognize this by the square selection and the LOD 0 sign. But you can check as well the LOD function in the inspector here. The hierarchy shows you a group of all imported 3D objects and as well in the project panel. By clicking in the hierarchy on the single LODs, you can check again if everything is correct. Now we need to adjust on which distance the single LOD meshes will change. In the inspector you have this camera icon here. Dragging and moving it change the distance from your object to the camera. By moving the camera to the right, you see that you pass several sections with the LOD name. You will see this particular LOD mesh by moving your character or camera in between this area. If you cross the board to the next area, the system will automatically swap to the next LOD mesh. Define those transitions by drag and moving them to your needed distance. Generally, it is extremely welcome that the player don't see the swap to the next LOD mesh. So choose your swap wisely. Adjust every transition to optimize the LOD system for your game. The last area is called cult. It means that here starts the point of distance where your 3D object will be disabled from your scene. If the player don't see it, why should it be in your game scene? Okay, let's zoom in to our prop again and give it a material or texture. Usually I drag and drop the material to the 3D object from project panel to the scene panel. But care, only LOD 0 contains the material now. The other LODs still haven't the material yet. Fix this problem by selecting the LODs from 1 till the last one. Drag and drop your material from the project panel to the inspector and everything is fine. Well, let's test this by pressing play now. It's hardly to see here. I will just change the LOD transitions to a very close distance so that you see it directly as an example. Alright, now you can see the switches of the LOD system. But there's still no collider, and it's not a finished prefab yet. Creating a prefab. Create an empty object and give it a proper name. drag and drop your adjusted 3D LOD objects into the empty object and reset the position of your LODs to 0. Now right click to your empty object, go to 3D object and select a proper 3D shape. Bring it into position and scale it. Go to Inspector, Mesh Renderer and select the wheel icon to remove component. Because we just need the collider and don't need the 3D object itself. If you are happy with everything, create your prefab by drag and drop the created group to the project panel. Unity automatically creates a prefab for you. This lesson is done, but I wanna show you another example when you already implemented an FBX to a prefab and you want to add a new LOD FBX. Add LOD to an existing prefab. In my project I created a folder with many props. I already placed the prefab in game levels several times, but there are no LODs implemented yet. So I need to do this now. For example, I have here the rootstock 2 prefab. It's a static object and I need to rebake the light map if I wanna that this shading problem disappears. Anyway, you see that my prefabs don't contain an LOD structure. Before we do anything here, we should switch back to Blender where I already prepared everything for export. Check my last video if you don't know what to do here. As the last time, I activate all collections for my prop and start to select the single meshes starting with the last LOD. Care to select LOD 0 at the end. Go to Export FBX. Enable selected objects, mesh and experimental apply transform. It is very important that you override your old FBX by choosing the exact same name. Usually I don't have the Blender and FBX files in the same folder as your game project. I prefer to keep it splitted. Go to Unity, right click on your needed FBX and select Show in Explorer. The only thing you need to do now is to drag your new FBX from the folder to your project and overwrite it. If you switch back to Unity, the program will automatically refresh. And your 3D object in scene disappears. Well, first of all, there is an empty mesh which should be removed in the inspector. Now we need to bring the new LOD meshes to the prefab. Drag and drop them to the hierarchy group. Tada! Your LODs are successfully implemented to the prefab. However, there are still some adjustments to do, but I mentioned those steps in the first part of this tutorial before. Assign the material. Adjust the LOD transitions in the inspector. Apply your changes to the prefab and synchronize the LOD system to all placed prefabs in the scene. Everything is clear? Or do you have any more questions? If so, write them to the comments of this video below. Don't forget to give us a like, subscribe to our channel, check out our other videos and have a nice day. Cheers!